Welcome to San Andreas, I'm CJ from Grove Street. Landed the heinous, gangbangers in cold heat. And Los Santos neighbors get no sleep. Beefing with anybody, competing, even police. Fold deep in the green rag with gold feet. Blast with the flag on the strap, that's OG. Stay in shape, hit the gym, lift the weights. Get super cut, a big and buff, nice and straight. You got stats to spec, weapon steel, stamina, muscle, fat, and sex appeal. You get clothes from Binkos and prolapse, suburban zip, victim and desatch. Watch your back when in rival hoods. They'll test just to guess if your survival's good. Ducking shells at the clucking bell. Jump out, busting, gun until they tuck their tail. It seemed like I'm on impossible missions. Twisted predicaments, hostile positions. 10 Penny and Pulaski harass me. Cop cars in on our ass the last past week. Cause the Dre is for the gangsters, homeboy. Hands is the language for the bangers, homeboy. And it's dangerous, homeboy. Get your brains blue for how you do your fingers, homeboy. He cock, he poppin' hot ones, dump them out, bend the block, shake before the cops come. Listen for sirens, they don't got none. Back another lap, catch a straggler with the shotgun. Hitting them up with that Grove Street lock and a dirty slingshot, no Levi.
What up, sup. Welcome to the pond, everybody. Welcome to Sup in the Pond. This is week what, Mac? What are we at?
Sure, man. I think this is week 51. It has been a long ride, but yeah, sup. This
Let's
is
go.
SupDucks 2-year anniversary space. Shit's about to get popping up in here. We've got Kitaro World today. This is going to be sick, man.
Hey, if everyone wants to hit the little bottom right button and retweet this room, let's get it popping. Yeah, I mean, the more the merrier.
100%. I see we've got Kitaro World, the official account up on the stage. We've also got Raf, who's an old homie from way back in the space of mine. So love to see him settling into a solid community. I'm going to hear all about this today. Billy, what's good, man? How you feeling?
Sup,
Billy?
Having a Friday, making it through the week. It's been a bumpy ride personally, but excited for the conversation today. Hanging out with y'all on Sup in the Pond and for a little weekend time.
Thanks for joining, Billy. We're gonna make it worth your time. We're gonna change your day around.
Always is, man.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. Let's go. So let's figure out who's behind this account. So Kitaro World, what's good? Who's on the account right now, and how you doing?
Sup, Max? SupDucks. This is Yori, one of the founders of Kitaro. Just joining you guys live. Really excited to hear more about you guys and tell you what we're doing. And just happy to be here. Another day, another beautiful day in Web3.
Hell yeah. Well, I see you guys are taking over Twitter, man. There's a big community forming around your project. I remember when you guys came out of nowhere and started flying, trending, and then I sort of didn't keep up. But then my homie Raf over here ended up coming in and becoming a massive whale of your project. So I started looking into you. So I'd love to hear about sort of how you started and how you got to this point in the space, man.
Yeah, Raf is a new. We don't call him a whale. He's a shark. Obviously, you can see in his profile picture. He's got his shark, that his Mako, as he calls him. And yeah, he's been a great addition to not only the community but the team recently. So yeah, we love having him in the forest, as well as our community is just nuts. As you said, they've been filling up the timeline almost to an annoying extent, I'm sure. I mean, even my own personal one is quite tough to find any other information that's not Kitaro, which I love. So it's all right. A bit about us from the beginning. We obviously a storytelling NFT. We really preach the Web 2 to Web 3 model, where we're Web 2 first and really want to help bridge the gap between the two, bringing in people from the outside to Web 3 without them even realizing it. So main way we're doing that is through our AR coloring books, which is going to help tell the lore of our story. And the first one's coming out very soon. We also, our community is, a launch pad for, using their personal and individual IPs. And so far we've used the 84 of them in these coloring books, as well as we're just about to wrap up our air fresheners that we just had this past week, and another 18 will be casted then. So 102 IP use, and it's our goal to help as many of our community use their IPs as possible. So it's IP season for us right now, but it's so much coming forward in the space and what we're doing. We haven't even unleashed a majority of what we're doing. We're kind of just starting. So it's been a wild ride for the last 11 months, and we're just looking forward to keep building, keep growing.
Man, sick. Love to see the steam picking up, and like you say, 11 months after launch, and you're saying that it's all just starting. It's epic, man. I can definitely see, a lot of people jumping on board. I've seen a lot of the homies from OG projects sort of asking questions about you guys and wondering what's going on. So it's definitely. I think it is just the beginning for you, man. It's all kicking off, and everyone's heating up. Raf, how you doing, bro? Love to see you up here. Nice one of one you're sporting. What's good, man?
And Mac, what's good, brother? I'm good, dude. Like I'm super excited to be able to do this. You and I go way, way, way back. How you been, dude? First of all, how are you? How's your family?
Yeah, we're good, man. We're good. We're out here. We're out here supping still. You know how it is. We've been just running these spaces, man. We've had a good lot of guests for the last 52 weeks. These things started out so small, and now they've ended up where they are. So it's epic. And just enjoying it, man. Get to talk with projects like you guys, see what everyone's doing in the space, who's still building, who's sort of, doing some crazy stuff with their art and whatnot. And love to see that you've landed on your feet in a nice project up in here because, for a while there you were talking about jumping in on some SupDucks. You got a one or a two, and then all of a sudden I just see this timeline blowing up of you just sweeping these things up. Sort of caught my attention. Bro, what I'd love to hear, like, what made you go so hard on these? And like, obviously, it's worked out well because the team's seen that it was all worth it for you, and they've got you in as a team member, man. That's fire. I love to see it. But what made you sort of decide to just come in and absolutely chew up the floor?
So before I even purchased any Kitaros, Domo and Hero, who are two major, like Domo's the CM, he's listening down below, and Hero, he's our security manager, and he's like super into the project. But I was hanging out with these guys in spaces, right? And they started telling me about the project, this and that. Uh, and I actually reached out to Kami and like started talking to the founder. And dude, the more and more like I talked to him, the more bullish I got, right? And it's just him and I like just messaging each other back and forth. Because my biggest thing was, if I'm gonna invest this type of money into the project, I want to know the founder in and out. I want to know what he's thinking. I want to know the plans, and not just for the next 6 months, just 3-year, 5-year plan. And dude, what Kitaro is building, not only with the IP activations, but just in general, right? With all their product line and everything, it's gonna be space changing in my opinion. Because in a time right now where everything is bleeding across the board, it takes real innovation right now to get the space's attention. And what they're doing with these IP activations, actually utilizing their holders' IP, is what made me super bullish, right? Second thing that made me super bullish was the community, right? And I'm speaking now before I even became a team member. Dude, you and I go back. The communities we've been a part of. It was like a brotherhood back then, right? Dude, I get the same vibes from the Kitaro community. It's like I could sit on a space with these guys literally all day, and the conversation never goes dry. We talk about everything. Not only, and that's not necessarily about the project, but just about life. Like random people will come into our spaces and we'll just chat about anything, you know, help them out through their issues, whatever problems they're having in life, investment opportunities when it comes to stuff in the space. Just overall, like building a real community, right? Like people always say community this, community that, but what does that look like, right? In my opinion, I see that as like a group of people that truly care about each other and care about seeing each other succeed, not only in this space but in life, right? And that's what really made me bullish about the project. And of course, I saw like the art for Kitaro. It's very it's an Asian based art, right? Let's call it what it is. So I saw that a lot of the holders were primarily in the U.S., right? And I saw the potential that if this gets into the Asian market, this gets into European markets. Like a lot of people don't know this, but Europe, they're really big into anime art. France is one of the biggest consumers of anime, right? So I saw these opportunities for Kitaro, and I started doing stuff just on my own as a community member. You know, reaching out to these other sub communities, some of these collectives, and people really, really liked what we were doing. There's something happening in like the next 2 weeks, so stay tuned to that. That Kitaro will have a major opportunity for. But that's the reason why I wanted to join the team. I saw this gap, and I wanted to fill it for them. And yeah, and that's why I'm here, man. Here for I'm here for life. This is the first job in Web3 that I've ever taken. I've been in the space for 3 years, so you know that on its own should say a lot, right? I love everything about. I love Kami. I love Yori. I love Domo. I love the community. It's very hard to find something bad to say, bro. Like I'm sitting. Sometimes I'll sit there and like think to myself, like, what can I really? What's negative about this project that I can really, you know, that we could either fix together or really talk about? And dude, that's how you know you have something that's worth keeping when you literally have to sit there and think of things that are not going well or things that are not good about the project, right? It's just very difficult to find. So I know that I know I went on a little soapbox, but I'm just super passionate about what we're doing, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. The word you're looking for was FUD. What are we gonna FUD, guys? What are we gonna FUD? Nah, totally agree, man. Like you said, brotherhood back in the day, you know, we've all split off. We've all split off from projects back in the day that we were degenning and just part of the community. I found my home at SupDucks a long time ago. I'm glad you have found yours, man. That's something epic to see. There's not many people who land and find something they want to, you know, just fully stick with for the long haul. But you've done it, so I'm super proud of that, man. That's sick. Kind of got me bullish, not gonna lie. Listening to that, a little bit of an alpha drop too. What we said, like a week or two, looking for something coming up, maybe something to do with the Asian markets, European markets. I don't know, man. The space is recorded. If you heard that, you might want to just go back and tune into that. But Kitaro World. So we're talking about IP, man. How are you guys doing the whole IP use from the community? How do you choose the Kitaro that you actually selecting and going with? How is there a process you're joining raffles? If I'm a holder, how am I getting my cat out there to get seen by everyone and really flex on this IP?
It's a good question, and it's something that is evolving. We're trying our first couple of activations. We've tried different things, and just we try to make it so that it's not as simple and boring as just a Twitter picker or just a random picker. Not to mention our first activations that we wanted to use were kind of specific to the kind of cats that we wanted to use, mainly in the AR coloring book. So what we did is we had a casting call. So everybody would kind of submit their Kitaros and with a story and a background about them, and then we chose from that to fill the book in the scenes that we needed, and then as far as the air freshener goes, we did we have a website that we use to, have everybody, the community vote on, the most popular. And then it goes from the popular vote to actually tomorrow, 2 p.m. PST, we have a guest judge panel from other projects that we've, done spaces and partnered with in the past. And they will be choosing from the top 3 of the popular vote. So it's a work in progress. Nothing's perfect. You're never going to please everybody, but we're just trying to make it fun and adventurous in everything that we do, because, it's pretty boring to just, have us pick all the time, or to just run a Twitter picker. And so we're trying to find, fun ways for everybody to kind of to be active in getting their cats casted. And we also like to, reward the people that are active. If you ran a simple Twitter picker or something, you might pick bots, or you might pick people who aren't even, active. So, always trying to reward the most active members, and really just, hone in on our core community.
Hell yeah. Hell
So
yeah. Oh, Billy, shoot. I'm sure you got a lot of questions, man.
yeah. I mean, I wanna dive into the IP stuff. I saw Kiro had his hand up a minute ago, though. I'm wondering if like we should jump back to that, or if we should continue this conversation.
His hand fell off.
Yeah, so I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
let
man.
that go, I guess.
If you want to.
All right, he's giving me a thumbs down. So I'm gonna first off, right? Like art's dope, right? Like I think, like at least from my perspective, I think we hopefully everyone in the room can agree. Like y'all did something great there. I love the vibe. So let me just start with the easy compliment. But I think some of the IP stuff that you're talking about, right? Like is challenging, right? Like there. A couple different angles I want to come at this from. One is, like I think the stuff you talked about in terms of like figuring out like who in the community to activate and engage with, like is a challenging process. Have you guys built any tooling or found any great tooling for that? Because I know that's something that us and a bunch of other projects, right, like that we've talked to about utilizing holder IP, like struggle with, right? Like, and we've even thought about building entire software platforms around this, because I think it's something the whole space can use, and even outside of the space, right? Like when we're rep by WME, but when we talk to any of the big town agencies, like they all have these challenges around like, hey, how do people get attached to projects? And so much of that is super inefficient. It's just like people and relationships and agents and whoever's hustling at the time, like often gets in the door, unless like the creator, director, writer has a vision for what it wants to be. They obviously have like the most input, but other than that, right, like it's a lot of these just like, so and so knew someone and showed up at this party, and his girl was friends with this guy, and like so it comes out like that, which is not market efficient. So how, I think you talked a little bit about like some of the challenges around using basic tools like a Twitter picker, but like what have you guys seen there in terms of tooling, and like what's working, and where do you think we need to go with that?
Great question. The tooling stuff and all of the really technical stuff, that's all Kami's area. So I can't speak too much of that. I know he's always on the lookout for new and interesting ways of doing things. As far as the other purpose of what we feel is working the best is really getting the community involved in the picking process, opposed to us doing it. Of course, this is only our third real activation, so everything is a work in progress, and we're going to keep trying new things and new softwares, and just see what kind of fits, and when we hit that sweet spot with the community. Raf might have something to add on this as well.
Dope.
Yeah, I'll throw my little 2 cents into it. So the more specific to the air freshener, right? I think the way that they did the air freshener with the voting, and it just creates it's a marketing tool, right? Because you're getting everyone to push this out to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be people in Web3, right? Because you're sending this out to your family, you're sending this out to friends that are not a part of Web3 to vote for you, right? And what that does is that just raises a question like, oh, these cats are cool looking. Like, what is this, right? And this is one of the things that, I was going to touch later on, but since we already jumped into it, right? When it comes to IP, everyone talks about IP this, IP that, right? you have full ownership of your IP in Kitaro, right? So you can literally utilize, as long as it's within the confines that the team has set, you can utilize your IP for anything that you would like. Now, the fact that they're utilizing, giving you a platform to do that for you, right? And bring money back into your pocket through revenue share, right? Because so for this casting specifically, the cats that get selected, you're going to receive 75% of the revenue back to your wallet that you hold that cat, of every single sale of that specific air freshener, right? So the products that they've dropped over the last 10 months have all been proof of concept, right? So they saw the air fresheners that they worked. We sold a lot of air fresheners. So let's utilize that now for IP usage of our community, right? So the proof of concept works. So now let's do the proof of work on it and actually put it out there. Let's put some money in our holders' pockets, right? And then they did something similar with the coffee book, right? The coffee book dropped. I have 2 Kitaros that are in the coffee book, and bro, the quality on the book, I'll just say this, man, because I know the AR coloring book comes out in the next, in about the next 30-ish days. The quality that they on that coffee book is just phenomenal, man. Like I've given some of the books out to just some of my friends in real life, you know, and it always brings up the question, like, what are these cats and why why are they so cool looking, right? So the proof of concept of the book worked. So now the AR coloring book that we're dropping, right? It's going to be a coloring book that tells the story about Kitaro, right? It's a series of 5 books. The first one is about to drop. 84 cats got casted. Now those 84 cats will receive a 50% revenue share of the first 4 books. The 5th book is going to be about the 11 legendaries that we have, and that the 50% royalty from that, or revenue from that book, is going to be split amongst the 11 legendaries, right? So when it comes to utilization of IP, when you really think about it, most projects are out having their holders, you know, create things with their own IP. Not many projects are creating this platform for you to take your IP to the next level, right? And that's something that I really appreciated before I even joined the team. And now that I am on the team, you know, I see some of the stuff that's happening in the future and some of the stuff that's coming for Kitaro. So it's just very exciting. Because the way that I see this project specifically, right? The Kami and Yori are the CEO of Kitaro. The founders, the holders, right? So the fact that we're bringing revenue back to the shareholders, right? It's just something you don't see in any business model. So the fact that this is even being implemented in the space, I see something like this that can be and will be, you know, adopted in the future. And like Yori said, you know, we've only done 3 activations to this point. We're still like very, very early in Kitaro. So I'm very excited to see what the next 5 years looks like, right? Because when you're building a brand, you're not going to build a brand in a year. It's just physically impossible. There's just no way, right? Now, 5 years from now, you know, a 5-year gap, I think is a pretty decent gap for you from start to end, to really see, you know, where the brand has been taken. It took Pokemon years to get where Pokemon was at, right? So like I said, I just think this business model, when it comes to IP usage, can prove to be very successful, and I really do see it as something that can be adopted by other projects. So shout out to Kami for you know what he's done so far, and Yori as well.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I love the vision. I love like executing in this direction. I think, you know, this is one of the big theses we have is like SupDucks, right? Like is this idea that, you know, future IP brands are going to be this like ownership model, right? Like where people get to participate in that IP. You know, shout out to Apes for like helping like transform that and make that like massive in the space, right? Like I think they were like the first PFP project to like really go in with holder rights and in a big way, right? Like I think that made a big impact on the whole NFT space, and yeah, that's definitely something that we're bullish on, and I think you see a lot of great projects executing in this direction. I want to step back real quick though. I think I heard something around like next 30 days and like multiple books. Is all that stuff already public? Because that feels like alpha right there.
Alpha drop.
Well, first of all, Raph, thanks for the backup on that. You covered a lot of things I missed, so appreciate you, brother. No, it's not too. That's not new alpha. We've had that expectation for a couple
Still
weeks.
Alpha for folks that don't know.
It's
So
exactly.
I'll
It's alpha for the
alpha.
ducks.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to go back to some of the challenges around IP, like, right, because there's like kind of two sides of it, right? Like, yes, you want to create value for holders, but if you do it directly, right, like passing revenue directly back to them, then when you go to license that IP to third parties, it becomes more challenging, right? Because now they're like, okay, now we got to sign deals with all these individual holders, and then we got to do payouts for all these individual holders, and it gets tricky. This is where, back to that tooling, conversation, like part of the reason we start to think about that stuff is like, okay, if we were really gonna like unleash, thousands of licensing deals, right? Like with various ducks, how do we track and pay out all that stuff? Like gets complicated quick. Especially when that stuff starts moving around, right? Like, oh, this duck moved there, so like now that IP rev share needs to split there, right? Like, and like what date, and what was the earnings by that date, so that it all gets paid to the right wallet. That's one like potential sticking point. The other is around this idea that it starts to look more like a security, right? Like this, people start to buy and hold these NFTs because of an expectation of profit, and that like gets you into pretty gray area in the US anyway around securities law. So how do you guys think about those two pieces, right? Like the more we do this, the more successful it becomes, the harder it is to execute on, and the greater legal risk we incur.
Yeah, wow. Those are definitely the two biggest questions that, I think every founder in this space, when they're trying to work with IPs and getting the community involved in those IPs, has to face. And our IPs are wrapped up in marketing right now. That's how we are doing it, and that we're renting the IPs from them, so it is considered marketing. But in terms of the bigger ones, yeah, we haven't. Obviously, we'll have to deal with a team of lawyers and a team of tax experts and everything like that, and hopefully find a solution that makes that process a lot easier. But as for right now, everything that we're doing is on a small enough scale, I think, where the marketing aspect of it is the actual aspect of it. So we don't really worry too much about the securities part.
Dope. Yeah. I mean, to paraphrase, one of my favorite legal statements I've heard from our attorneys, right? Like, you don't have to be, the fastest bear, right? Like, or the fastest person running away from the bear. You just have to be not the slowest, right? Like, and so that's kind of the move I think that a lot of projects are like going with, is like, as long as we don't create the greatest risk for ourselves, they'll probably bust someone else first, and then like we'll figure it out from there.
That's great.
Exactly what happened with Gang. I'm sure Raph will remember that. Let the apes try it first, and then token. Looking like we're not going to drop it now. I just wanted to jump in here, man. This room's packing up right now, so I'm going to reset it real quick. Welcome to Sup in the Pond. This is week 51. Sup in the Pond, man. We've been doing this a long time. SupDucks community space. We've been running it up with projects, individuals, platforms, anyone who's out here building in this space. We welcome them onto our space, and we just chop it up for a whole hour. So if you want to hit that retweet, the space is recorded. It means that it lands right on your timeline. Anyone who's missed the alpha, I'm sure you heard Raph drop it before, can get up in there on your timeline. They'll thank you later. Hey, dude, thanks for hearing that. I got that alpha off your timeline. So there you go. But yeah, let's keep it rolling. Billy, I'm sure you got more.
So we're posting this whole space on our YouTube also as like a podcast too. So for those who missed this one, we'll tweet that later, and then you can retweet that as well.
Hell yeah, you want to check those out. They're pretty sick. We also
Yeah.
cut up some classic moments of these spaces and put out little clips. So we'll see if we can spin one up, man. I'm sure there's going to be some heated clips coming out of this. But Billy, I'm sure you want to keep on this IP sort of discussion, so
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
keep it rolling, man.
Yeah, because it feels like that's like one of like the jujitsu like super moves that y'all got. So I love digging into that, right? Like play to people's strengths, right? Like that's typically a good way to go.
Yo,
You
I
know,
like that. Jiu-jitsu super moves. Classic.
yeah, right. Like where you're like, oh, you just flipped it. And it's like, oh shit, what the fuck just happened? It's like, no, that's a super move. Anyway, you know, I was talking about like this week being a little bit challenging. You know, I'm in San Diego, Comic-Con's happening, right? Like there's all these parties, like events, like, you know, people around, like stuff's happening. And, you know, I've seen, multiple projects, right? Like turning up at Comic-Con, building up their IP, right? Like we got, Pudgy's out here, we got Oni's out here, we got Cool Cats out here, like seeing all these folks like coming to Goons, Fields, right? Like all kinds of folks coming through, like hosting events, like showing off their IP to the community. And I think I take a lot of inspiration from that, right? Like I love to like learn and see what other folks are doing. What do you guys think in terms of other projects that you've seen executing well in the IP space, and like what have you learned, and where do you see people have like misstep maybe?
I think you brought up the biggest one that I've seen. So not the biggest one maybe, but with the gang and the token and everything like that, I think that was a pretty big misstep on their part, and they're it's kind of showing right now. Obviously Pudgy has kind of been like paving the way as far as the IP play and the Web 2 space is going forward, and so we're constantly seeing what other people are doing and how they're doing it and what's kind of popular and what's also sticking, because a lot of people and a lot of projects, especially in the Web3, that are trying to do the metaverse or trying to do video games, or the attention span is not quite there for it right now. And so we that was one of our big reasonings for being Web 2 first opposed to Web 3 first, is that our attention spans are already small, and then with all the information and everything coming out as fast as it does, you lose even more attention. So building a Web 2 and a brand opposed to an NFT project that really helps get recognition out there, and in doing it at these Comic Cons and NFT parties and everything like that is definitely in our future. I think Raf is actually heading to one soon, isn't that right, Raf?
Yeah, I am. We'll be doing a few things towards the end of the year, and one next year. And I don't want to speak on it too much, just because
No alpha this time.
it's not set in stone yet. So I don't want to give a false precedence, but we definitely are doing like in real life events. It's just in the future for sure. So we have a lot of our holders, Billy, in the California area, right? So Domo RCM, they're actually going to host an event next month, and I know he was saying that like holders events are going to happen pretty much for some of our holders in the California area, because that's where a majority of our holders are, right? So Domo, I don't know if you're busy, if you want to come up here and speak on that, or if Hero, because I know Hero will be doing some of the events with him. But if that's something you want to speak on, you can come up here, brother.
Hey, I love that you all are, sorry, was someone else going to jump in? Like, I don't want to cut anyone from the team off, or from the community off that like wants to talk about this stuff.
I think looks like Domo's going to come up and answer that question. I believe, if I'm bringing up the right guy here. I am, yeah. We're on. Domo, I'm sure you want to answer that one, man.
Sup. Cheat me out, everybody. Thanks for bringing me up, Raf. Yeah, so for me personally, I've met up with a few of the Kitaros here in the LA area before. Also, the team sent me out to NFT NYC, where we had a Kitaro /Kuga event out there for the holders. But since the community has gotten a lot bigger, and the last meetup that we had over here in LA has been like quite a while now. I was just planning on doing like a little, like event next month, because I know a lot of people are going to be in San Diego Comic Con this month, just to kind of meet up, like maybe eat some food or watch a movie, something like that, because I know that the IRL event, getting to meet people in person, after you've been chatting it up in Discord for so long, it's something special getting to meet your community in person. So like definitely, and that's something that I can provide in the LA area, right? So I'm just doing what I can over here in LA, but I'm definitely trying to kind of lead by example, get the ball rolling. So hopefully, other community members out in other regions, other countries can get together with their close community members, and uh, just kind of like if you guys have seen like Pudgies and Bored Apes and stuff like that. Like it's always dope getting to see their community get together in IRL events. So just kind of transitioning the community into doing that as well.
I'm smelling a little collab party going on, a little LA stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Kitaro
that's what
party.
I'm talking about. Yeah,
Maybe
a
at the
bunch of ducks
temple,
are in LA.
Billy.
Yeah.
Dust
I
off
In
said
the
too,
California in
temple.
general,
Dust off the temple. Hell yeah, that'd be fire.
I said too much.
right? Hopefully that'll be ready. Speaking of, IRL activations by then.
Oh shit.
But yeah, no, definitely. Let's maybe do something in LA together. That both all communities get a bunch of them in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think
What's his temple thing first?
Oh,
No,
we broke
yeah,
the seal.
if you want, the temple is nuts. The temple is nuts. But what I can't speak of the future, but what I can speak of is if you rewind to VCon and have a look at what we set up there, that shit was fire. And then just anything can happen in this point of time, my man.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a little bit more context. Like, so SupDucks is in the midst of our DUCKGOD cycle. So this year we kicked off the DUCKGOD cycle, which is kind of the backstory of the SupDucks universe, like how the SupDucks all came to be. And as part of that experience, right, like you have to journey to a temple and collect a key, and then that gets you access to a cave, which gets you, some of the like cave painting lore that leads then to the battle, which is the stage that we're in. So we've got this blockchain battle game. Anyway, at VCon, we reconstructed like a real life version of like the cave and that some of that temple experience for folks to actually like walk into and be inside of. And we got planned, we like to reuse that stuff, right? Like we don't want it to be a one-time investment. So we've got this, physical setup, and we're working on finding a home for it and getting that available to the community, not just the SupDucks community, but the wider NFT community. It's like, we want to build a spot. Like we had a pretty dope work spot in the arts district for the first year, and now we're trying to do something that's a little more community driven, right? Like where it's more of a like kind of speakeasy hangout lounge, like art, like NFT vibe, with a bunch of other fun shit like that I won't drop the alpha on. But yeah, that's part of the direction we're trying to go with that.
That's sick.
That sounds pretty epic.
That's sick. For those of you who don't know, sorry,
the
Austin.
top of this space. Oh, sorry. There just may be a tweet at the top pinned of Gary entering the temple, but there also may not be. I don't know.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Gary's definitely been up in that temple. He's checked it out. Vibe look lit. I also pinned up if you just literally have no idea about SupDucks and what we got cooking, if you want to just get right down to what's going on in this current time, there's a pinned tweet at the top saying calling all frogs. Go and check it out. Drop into the Discord, ask some questions, because you can literally buy one frog, send him to battle, and potentially come away with a bag. Like it's the burn mechanics we got cooking. These frogs are going to battle, man. Shit's fire. Billy, what's the bag up to right now? If the lucky winner rolls in with one frog.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw it, the pot was over 17 ETH. Yeah, it's creeping.
10.42.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
So
Damn, explain this. Explain the mechanics of this.
Yeah, I'm sure Billy break it down hardcore, but yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah.
Are we done here talking? Like we've got 20 minutes left. You guys want to continue on the Kitaro, or are we happy to roll into a little bit of SupDucks so your community can learn about what we got cooking?
I think a 2/3 is good for us. So yeah, I definitely want to hear more about this.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Billy, take it away, man.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the Quetzal battle. So, at each stage of like the Duck God cycle that I talked about, right? Like you have to complete that stage in order to move on to the next one. Classic kind of game mechanic, right? And at this stage, right, like we need to defeat the Quetzal in order to fulfill the prophecy for the Duck God to return. And as part of that, story, there's this epic battle between the Quetzal and the KingFrog and the frogs that needs to take place. And so we built a blockchain-based battle game where you can stake frogs, you can equip them with armor, and all those funds that you use in terms of staking those frogs and equipping them with armor so that they can, have a better chance at surviving this epic battle, goes into a smart contract and into a massive pot, and then it gets distributed to the top players in the game. So originally, I think the way we structured it was 70% of the bag was going to go to the winner, and then we left kind of the other 30%. We were like, let's figure out like what we want to do this with the community, and the community voted on it. And so I think if I'm getting the numbers right, 70% goes to the one last standing frog that kills the Quetzal. 15% goes to the SupDucks DAO, 10% goes to the second place winner, and 5% goes to the third place winner. I hope I got that all right. If anyone up on stage or in the audience wants to come check me on that, like we've been working on this for a minute, so sometimes the space moves fast.
Hell yeah! But it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild. It's kind of slept on. I mean, like, it's crazy to think about it as an outsider. If you're thinking of it as an outsider, imagine just being able to roll up and buy I don't even know. I haven't looked in a long time what the KingFrog floor is, but I think it was like 0.01, dude. Drop that shit in there and slap a 0.01 armor on. Your frog's off to battle, man. He might end up being the most Spartan frog. He might literally be Spartacus reincarnated, man. He might come out here, kill that Quetzal, and walk away with the bag. Who knows? Who knows?
We're gonna do a massive space with the winner of that after the battle ends. That's gonna be a crazy, crazy space with the winner.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see, man, because that is gonna be a crazy dub for whoever wins that. Looking forward to seeing. But yeah, Billy. So let's talk a little bit about how we got to this point. For those who don't know about the ducks and how they can be animated and whatnot, because I feel like, listening to how you guys are talking about the Kitaro art, you can probably appreciate the SupDucks art and what's going on with it too, man. Like, it's a massively slept-on thing that you can buy a still image duck, and then you can get into a megatoad, especially at these prices. I mean, bull run, shit's costing an arm and a leg, but right now, if you're in it for the art, and you can buy a megatoad, you can lick the duck can lick the toad and become animated, which we call whacked, and that can be one of 10 different levels. So how many different types, like how many levels of art were there, Billy? There was 10 for every individual duck. Is that the case?
Right. Yeah. Like 10 different. So every SupDucks trait like mapped onto a wacky duck trait. So like forget how many total traits there are in the collection, right? Like, so you got 10,000 ducks and you got a bunch of like dozens and dozens of different traits, right? And like, bajillions of like combinations, right? Like that, the combinatorial explosion, right? Like when you do these like dynamic generative collections, like is like crazy. So all that stuff got like reinterpreted. And then on top of that, we did 10 different like animation styles that impact each of like the layered art like in a unique way, right? So it just adds another layer of complexity, right? Like an animation layer on top of all the new art layers. So you took the hundreds of different like pieces of original SupDucks art, reinterpreted them all as like a wacky version, and then added a whole new set of animations on top of those.
Yeah, man, it's
Like,
crazy.
never been done before in the space.
It was
We did
insane,
it.
and it's why I come and stayed, and I'll never leave because I appreciate the art, and that's what I'm here for when it comes down to it. But
And how many artists do you guys have working? That's insane.
Yeah, so I mean the wild thing is like all of this is like the brainchild of Frankie Nines, like co-founder, lead artist, right? Like for SupDucks, like the creator of all of this, right? Right, like SupDucks would not exist without Frankie, in any way. So shout outs to Nines for making SupDucks happen. But yeah, like you know, one of the things that Frankie is great at is assembling incredible teams of artists, right? Like he's been creative director multiple organizations, including multiple companies that he's built, including Megavolt, parent company of SupDucks. And you know, we've got a couple folks in the audience, right? Like that are artists on the team that you know we've cultivated these relationships primarily through the SupDucks community and the wider NFT community, right? Like we brought in some folks that we knew kind of previously to the team, and you know, artists cycle in and cycle out as like they have projects and things that they're working on. But some of the folks that have stayed the longest, right, like are folks that we've sourced from the community because you know they were already in it for the vibe, they were already in it for the art, and so you know, they're here to jam long term. But yeah, at any given time, you know, we have a handful of artists on the team, and then you know, one of the things that Frankie is really good at, like, and that is super unique to our project is not only does he build incredible teams, but he builds incredible art pipelines. So, you know, he worked on the VFriends drop. He's done art systems for Dapper Labs for a bunch of the titles that came through Dapper, right? Like Top Shot and Cheese Wizards, and like a bunch of Crypto Kitties, like a bunch of stuff, right? Like, and so he knows how to not only create an artwork flow that then scales really well with technology because he can actually code in addition to being an incredible artist, and so he can set up those automation workflows so that you can get a massive amount of art accomplished in a short period of time that still is all hand drawn. Like that's the other phenomenal thing about all the SupDucks art is it's all hand drawn, right? Like the animations are hand done, like everything is hand done, and then it's, you know, thrown into this cool art pipeline that automatically like mixes it all up, stacks it, and whacks it.
Stacks it and wax it. I like it. 100%. This is all alpha that most people don't know about, man. If you actually dive into the
how the
nines, if you
sausage
look
gets
into
made,
Frankie
right?
Nines, you'll be mind blown, dude. You will be melted. But anyway, let's get back to the art. So after these ducks are whacked, Billy, because we're closing out
Yeah.
strong here,
So
what happens?
exactly. So the magic of like once we finish this duck out cycle. So last year we did this whole thing, right? Like we dropped ducks in 21. Yeah, 2 years ago, not last year. Wow. Yeah, because we're 2 years in now. So 21, right? Like we dropped ducks, we drop frogs, we drop toads. You can lick the toads, but you make the toads with the frogs anyway. There's a whole story there that I could get into. But you lick the toad with the duck, it gets wacky, and that's what, you know, makes it enlightened and able to visit the duck god. And so now we're in the process of telling that story of how the duck god returns so that these wacky ducks can visit the duck god and claim their gifts as, you know, enlightened followers of the duck god.
Yeah. And people thought that, like, I mean, the NFT space moves so fast. People think this stuff happens without story and lore and all of this. It was just when DUCKGOD, all of this. If you stuck around till now and you're still waiting for this DUCKGOD, and it's, you know, everyone in our community is like people here for the right reasons now. You know, the flippers have left pretty much. This is 2 years in, man. These guys are still picking up ducks, getting ready because we all know that DUCKGOD's coming. But so like once the Quetzal battle's over, I don't know. I don't even know how much I can lead us in on here, Billy. But what can we expect for the Ducks?
Yeah, I can't give away the details, but right, like it sets up the next stage, which is the duck god's return and this ability for wacky ducks to visit the duck god and claim their gifts from the god. And who knows what that sets up, right? Like Well,
Alpha
maybe
drop.
some folks know what that steps up,
I
but
mean,
like,
I mean, I
you
feel
know,
like we're getting into dicey territory here. I'm not going to make you break that NDA. We'll just roll on in. But we've got
Keep
Antroncoles
prying, keep prying.
Antroncoles has come up, man. So imagine the love that Raph has for these cats. Imagine that. But then this dude's been doing the same thing for 2 years now. He's been stacking ducks. He specifically buys way above floor ducks that he likes, and then whacks them with a specific toad because he knows the art this it's going to generate is, he's like, oh my god, this duck, I'm gonna buy this duck because I know that when it is whacked level 7, this level 7's going to melt me. So, Antroncoles, man, what's good? Haven't talked to you on Spaces in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute. How you guys doing, man? Much love.
what's up?
What's up, kids? Well, yeah, I love that you're kind of taking it back from the beginning and explaining it all. I think that's probably a good thing to do in all of our spaces because we're always getting new people coming into the ecosystem, and I just like the rest of us, I go crazy on Twitter and social media, constantly extolling the virtues of SupDucks, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say we have the funnest interactive ecosystem and roadmap that I've ever seen. I mean, there are other great projects with fun things to do, but maybe I'm just biased, but there's something so cool about just the whole way this roadmap. I'll just put it this way: the roadmap for SupDucks, every single step of the roadmap has been an over deliver, and I'm not exaggerating. I think the UGC of making the megatoads is something that will be talked about for it's part of the meta of this whole time in NFTs. It's like nothing had been done like that before, where we could take these companion KingFrogs and feed them any of 4 different levels of snacks and then mash 3 of them together and take particular traits off them and design our own. It was UGC, it was user generated content. It was a real interactive thing where the people that were already in we just went deep, and it felt like the best part of nerding RPG gaming, where we were just coming up with builds. I'm going to make this frog, this toad, it's going to have this kind of hat and this skin and this background, and then you go hunting for these frogs, and it was just something that consumed us for months, and you could tell that it was a thing towards the very end when it got down to like the last. You guys remember that, the last like 150
Oh, I
or
remember.
so chunks? It was insane, dude. They matched so fast that I was freaking out because I had all these ideas still left and I didn't have time to do it. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think we learned a ton from that experience, and shout out to Doodles, right? Like I think Doodles 2 is a lot about this like kind of mechanic, right? Like this UGC mechanic of being able to customize, future versions of your Doodles with like new, new traits and gear that you can dress them up as, and then
Yeah,
like
it
that's the way
reminded
to
me of
grow the
kind of
ecosystem.
do you remember Nifty Degens? That was a fun little project where you could kind of take particular traits, but there was something cool about this because you
Yeah,
already had these really cool assets, these frogs, and there were
exactly.
rare frogs and all these cool different traits and rares. And are you sure you're going to burn that king crown frog? Are you kidding me? Oh no, but I'm going to make this chalk. And what came out of it was just awesome. And this real exclusive collection of just 1,000 chunks, and all of them are just epic because they're not random generated. They're created. Every chunk that you see in the Megatoads collection was made with love by someone who just thought that was the coolest idea and did it. And there's nothing there that's mailed in, and you feel it, man. And it's funny because now here we sit with our chunks. I got a pretty massive collection of them myself. And the reality is if we woke up tomorrow and chunks floor was 50 ETH or something, I would be in a real genuine quandary because I can't imagine letting any of them go. Same with my ducks, to be honest. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yo,
think that's one of the real challenges with UGC, right? Like, is that like it creates a bond between the user or the creator, right? And the piece of art, right? Like, and I think this is like a real challenge for artists in general, right? Like sometimes you really fall in love with the work, and you're
Yeah.
like, I don't really want this to go anywhere. Like, this is
Yeah.
You feel like
mine.
I personally mashed like 30 chunks, and I've done since then I've bought and sold and traded and swapped and swapped. And I think there's only like three or maybe 4 of the chunks that I made are outside of my collection with someone else now. I just can't get rid of them. And the ones that I have gotten rid of have been real delicate, trade transactions with OGs that I love. And here, okay, I'm going to let you have them. And of course, they all have names. I'm going to give you this guy, and you. It's just been crazy. Hey, while I'm up here, I wanted to ask you. And this is my bad if it's posted somewhere and I didn't see. How are we doing on the timeline for the Quetzal battle? Is there anything posted when it's going to get shut down? I know that there was going to be some kind of extension thing where people could pay extra to come in a little late or whatever. Can you break that down a little bit for all of us?
Yeah, I can't drop too much in terms of like an exact date for you,
Okay.
because I think that's going to be a surprise. But I will say that it being the SupDucks 2-year anniversary month seems like the time to do it.
I concur.
So that's the alpha there. That's as far as I'm going to go on that one.
Everybody's jumping off right now to go run and buy frogs. I love it. Oh shit!
The space goes to zero.
No.
Yeah, in terms of the battle mechanic, I think right, like you can obviously enter frogs now. Like we're still in that prep like battle setup period where people are building their little armies so that they can maximize their opportunity to be the last frog standing and take down that Quetzal. But then once the battle opens, there's going to be a period where you can experience the actual battle mechanic, right? So that as much as you can put stuff into docs, right? Like when you actually play a game, it's pretty different from reading about a game, right? Like if you got like some manual for a game and you like read about it and then you go and play the game, that experience is going to be totally different. So we don't think it like makes too much sense, right? Like to just be like, here are the docs, read them, and then go play. But you can't like change up your strategy once you actually go play.
Wait, what? There's strategy involved in this? Wait, what?
Maybe a little. Maybe there's some stuff in there in terms of how the battle actually plays out. So
carry on.
It's important that people
I'm going to kick
experience the experience. Before we say like, hey, you can't change anything, right? Like you're locked out, right? Like so yes, there's the setup period we're in. The battle will go live for a short period of time, and then that game will lock and it'll play out. The battle will play out, and fate will do its thing, and the frogs will fall where they will.
So this is going to come in waves. This battle's going to be in waves. Got it.
This battle's going to be wild,
right?
man.
Like, there's this intro period where you get to kind of see how it works, so you can not be like, oh dang, I should have thought about that differently and I can't do nothing, right? Like you'll know that like there's a date and we need to lock in on what we're doing by that date.
Right.
That answers that, man. We're coming in. We're about to close this thing down. We've got scouts up in here. First, we're going to the hands. Kuro's hands back up, man. You found it after it dropped off earlier.
Hey, I
Have
want
at
to
it, bro.
happy birthday, guys. It's no small feat.
Yeah, thank you.
To not be at zero, and even if you were at zero, I respect the zero after 1 year, let alone 2 years. And the way you were talking about your ducks and your frogs is very endearing. It's exactly why I keep my inner child alive. It's exactly why I still play Pokemon to this day. I know Raph himself is an avid Pokemon card legacy collector and hustler, and he has a vault of Pokemon stashed for his children. Hands off, children. This will pay for your children's education. I bring that energy into Kitaro. Every PFP reminds me of every Pikachu, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, Charmander I hunted in Viridian Forest back in the day. And I get to not only train my Pikachu, but also I get to have him on my dashboard, wear him on my body. We have stories that will be coming out that I get to see him on a 2D plane and rendered in 3D AR. Not just on the books, but onto any application I see fit. Shout out to Kane up here and speakers with OD Labs. AR is very interoperable with every product coming out in the future. as you progress into that brave new frontier of extended reality. But I wanted to say that I'm very curious about your battle mechanics in your games. I will meet you in the DMs, SupDucks and Mac, and I know that this Catcher as Yori mentioned, at 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, you can go ahead and pop in and see how we choose the next 18 IP holders. If you do the math, every air freshener in the 4-pack equates to $3.50, meaning 75% of that is $2.80, meaning that passive income that goes directly to the holder's wallet might very well be paying for your lunch week by week. So we're excited to see you come around the Enchanted Forest sometime. DM Domo, DM Raph, get you in the group chats, and let's get you some Kitaros. Let's lick some frogs.
Let's go, man. Let's go. I mean, the DUCKGOD cycle's a never-ending thing. Gods don't sleep, man. This is going to go on forever, you know. We might be running it up in 10 years' time, and cats are now licking these toads. Who knows? Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Any SupDucks who heard that, drop into the Kitaro Discord. Scouts, you've just made it in time, man. Welcome to the speaker panel. We're about to close it down. Kuro, epic. Loved what you just said, man. That was fire. I wish you chopped in earlier. We'll definitely have you back on. But Scouts, what have you got to say, my man? I'm sure you're just coming up to flex that crown duck on us, but what's good, bro?
Yeah, dude. The Quetzal battle, man. Like, that's coming up soon. I don't think you guys, like, Billy just dropped the alpha on that. That's like, we're expecting the next week. But for anyone looking at the Quetzal battle more, you can look at the pinned tweet from a day ago. Just go on that website. Anyone listening, seriously, just go on that website. Check out the user experience on there, the animations. You can pick up a frog, KingFrog on Blur for 0.007. I mean, come on. Like, and to enlist it, it's 0.01. For just with gas, 0.02, you can enter this battle. You know, win the, 17.5 ETH pod. I mean, come on. Part of it's going to the DAO, which is cooking right now. Stay updated on the DAO. Maybe if you guys want to throw up a twin or a pinned tweet on that in here, you can. We just made a Twitter account for it, building up that treasury. Yep. Super excited for everything DAO, Quetzal battle. It's going to be a dope experience. So,
yeah, hell yeah. I believe I don't know, Dave's not up here to ask, but I know my vote was to sell that collab token yesterday on that pump. I think the DAO might have. Did we sell that, Billy?
No, we didn't sell it. Like, the vote's still active. So I think the vote ends in like a day or two, and we'll figure it out from there. It's not going to be the last, alt pump.
Nah, definitely not. But lot going on in all projects, man. This is sick, and these are projects that you can buy right now. You can get in for a much cheaper price than back in the bull run days, you know. And Tronkali's talking about diamond handing 30 megatoads. I think those were trading at like 2 ETH or something. Yeah. Man's got hands of diamonds. But I think we've covered a lot. Billy, anything you want to add?
I mean, I think I just shout out the Scouts for for all the awesome summary. I will just drop the website duckgod.supducks.com. I think that's the one he was referring to. Make it easy for y'all, pretty easy to remember. So yeah, if you all want to jump in and check it out, feel free.
And make sure to follow all the speakers up here and projects up here. And thanks to everybody who was rocking this whole time, listening the whole space. Appreciate you, and happy birthday, SupDucks. And cheers, everybody.
Yes, sir. Keep supping. We'll be back here next Friday, same time, week in, week out. Sup in the pond. Kitaro, thanks for coming up. Everyone who spoke on the speaker panel, you guys have been super lit. There's been a lot of learning going on in this space. I'm going to definitely drop into this Discord and see if I can get my cat. I own one. See if I can get that bad boy paying for my lunch. But keep supping, guys. We'll see you next time. Sup.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Thanks, y'all.
right.
This is the outro for everybody to leave. Leave the space. Don't listen to the song.
San Andreas, I'm CJ from Grove Street, land of the heinous gangbangers and cold heat.
Leave the
Los
space.
Santos neighbors get no sleep, beefing with anybody, competing, even police. Old beef in a green rag with gold feet, blast with the flag on the strap. That's so
Don't be in here.
Stay in shape, hit the gym, lift the weights. The super cutter big and buff, nice and straight. You got stats, respect, weapon, skill, stamina, muscle, fat, and sex appeal. You get clothes from Vincos and prolapse, suburban zip, victim and D-sacks. Watch your back when in rival hoods. They'll test just to guess if your survival's good. Ducking shells at the clucking veil. Jump out, bust a gun until they tuck their tail. It seems like I'm on impossible missions. Switch to predicaments, hostile positions. Tenpenny and Pulaski harass me. Cop cars been on our ass the last past week. Cause the Dre is for the gangsters, homeboy. Hands is a language for the bangers, homeboy.